Welcome back. So today we are discussing the topic 20, that is data frame statistics and analysis. That means how do we will be able to perform some kind of analysis using some statistics of the data frames that we can get from the few operations that we do. So this is as part of the Databricks Certified Associate Developer Spark playlist. And if you are new to this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So would recommend you to please pause for a few seconds and read through this. So if you're already familiar with these points, so please proceed to the next. So now coming to the course content. So in this short video, we will discuss why to get the statistics first of all for any kind of analysis, and how to get the stats for any data frame. And when we are getting the stats, so there are different ways that we can get the stats. One is describe and another is summary. So this is important to understand when to use describe, when to use summary. So what is the difference between them? So ideally, end of the day, so both does the same thing. That is, it is getting the statistics for the data frame that you have, but they does the operation a little bit differently, so that we will see in the practicals. So let's quickly jump to the practicals of it. So now let's quickly jump to the setup that we already have with the community Databricks community edition for that we are established for free. So if you want to know how to do that, so please recommend you to watch the initial videos of the same playlist. So now let's quickly jump to the practicals of that statistics of the data frame that we are discussing. So for that, we will use a web sales data frame that we already have, right? And we will just select. So basically, if you want to, what is statistics, right? So statistics, basically, why do we need stats is for performing any kind of analysis to understand the data much better, right? So if you are working in any project, right, you need to understand the data much. So if you're working in retail, automobile, right, energy, what kind of project that you're working in, so airlines, so commercial, so any project that you're working, so you need to understand if there is any noise, if there is any irregular pattern. So if you need to understand the pattern of the data, the behavior of the data over time, and how the data changes with certain parameters. So this kind of analysis is what we call as a statistical analysis for on top of any data. So this is important as a data engineer or data analyst to kind of understand the data much better, right? So to do that, so what we usually do, right? So we'll just start with a simple example. So if I want to know what is the minimum of the sales price, right? So it's a simple statistics that we can take, right? So what is the minimum sales price that a customer has purchased? So this with this operation, we will come to know what exactly the minimum says. So what the mistake is, we need to give the dollar symbol at the start. So min value is not found. The reason is so here we'll try to kind of execute the SQL function, SQL library, and then see so if this works. So if this works, because this library contains the min function, all aggregation functions, right? The SQL library. So now, because we are performing a SQL operation, so we need to import that library here. So now, so this is a simple way of taking the minimum of, and we'll come to know what exactly. So if you want to know, want to display it, just you can do a show, or you can enclose with a display. So once we do a show, right? So yeah, as you can see, it is giving the 0.00, which is a minimum sales value. So you now, as a data analyst or data engineer, or any kind of the person who want to analyze the data with some statistics will be able to do this, use this SQL function. So this is simple, right? So we are using this kind of SQL functions from the previous videos. But going one step ahead with respect to the aggregations that we can get, right? So we can, without selecting also, we can without this SQL approach, we can still get the statistics. How do we get that? So we can just give this dot agg, right? So dot agg, what we can give is so I want min, right? So the same thing I can give here. So dot show. So it will be able to display the minimum. As we can see, it is displaying the minimum. So similarly, we can use other like aggregation functions also, right? So we have max, we have count, we have average, right? So once we execute this, right, so we'll be able to see we have min 0.00 max, some value is there, and count. What is the count, right? Total count of the records. What is the average of sales price? So here what we see is the count of total sales, which the number of records, right? And here it says that what is the the average of the price that we have, that is WS sales price. So here we will be able to get this kind of count using min max, count, average and mean, whatever, right? So all the statistics analysis we are able to do. So next, if you go to the next level, so we have something called as describe and summary. So which also helps in getting the statistics at a very high level. I mean, it gives very detailed level statistics, I would say. So let us see how exactly we can get those, right. So we have describe, right. So if I were to do a describe dot show, so show is not looking good. So we can go for display, which will give the more formatted result. So since we have single node clustering, some time, but once it displays, right, so you can see the what we are using is a describe function here. So this describe functionality, what it is doing is it is getting a summary of count, min, max, mean, and standard deviation. This five statistics it has given for each of the columns what is the count and mean. And so if you see, right, so the each columns might be having different count here. So this column is having different count, this column is having different count, similarly like this, right. So why the count is different is wherever there is a value, so only that it will consider for the counting. And similarly mean, and so these are common statistics for each of the columns. It has got this statistics. So it is very useful when you are performing, as I mentioned, right? You want to see some pattern, you want to see some behavior, or you want to understand the data for any business use cases to see whether it will fit for the use cases. So it is very important to consider these kind of statistics. So now, so similar way, so if I want statistics on only one column, right? I don't want statistics on all of this column. So it is very simple. We can give the describe. Inside describe we can give double quoted column names. So it will give stats only for the those particular that particular column for these five statistics, right. So finally also we can see what is summary, right. So summary is another way of getting the statistics instead of a describe. So the difference here is so let us see what is the difference, right. So we'll execute and you can see instead of some describe, I'm just replacing with summary. So we'll execute this and observe what exactly it displays and how this is different from the describe. So describe, if you see it taken each of the stats, right, and for each of the stats it was able to display the for all of the columns. So for each stats for all of the columns, it has derived the statistics. So now coming to summary, we will see how exactly this one displays. Well, so this has display the summary now. So summary also is the same way, right? But it gives more stats, like just it's not just about count, mean, standard deviation, and min. So it also gives some stats like 25% variance, 50% variance, 75% variation. So these are the very statistical terms. I won't go for the explaining that, but so it is give the summary will give more detail than the describe. And one more difference is we'll try to get is so we'll try in summary we'll try to give. the column name, right, instead of exactly summary. So if I want to get the summary of a particular column, so it won't recognize that because in summary you will have to give average, mean, whatever, like max, those kind of statistics. You cannot give the column names here. So maybe EVG is not a one. We'll try to give count or standard deviation for that matter. Standard DV, right? Yes. So you can give any of these stats, right? Like count, mean, DV. So in summary, so this is the parameter it takes. It won't, in a summary won't take the parameter as the column names. So this is a very important difference. So I'll explain once again. So in the describe, so there are two options, right? Whether you use a normal describe, which will give the stats of all the columns for all of the stats, and other is you can use a specific column as well. But here you cannot use specific summary as an argument, right? But in the otherwise, in the summary, what happens is here it is different. In summary, you can use a summary for a particular like a function. Like you cannot use it for a particular column. So I cannot give summary for, say, a particular column called WS sold date or WS item SK or whatever, right? So you need to give the specify the summary function here. Which function you want to use for the summary. You have that only that particular summary function that you are using. So here you can use a mean or any such function to get stats only for that one, and it will give for that's the same statistics. It will give for all of the columns that you have, right? So that's the main difference between summary and describe. So both works in a similar way, but just this describe will get for the particular column. You can specify the parameter, but summary is you can parameter or instead of columns you can parameter as the the summary function itself. So hope this was useful and thanks for watching.